The miracle of the bees in the Quran. Let's have a look at this one.
Bees are fascinating creatures.
True.
Which is why in the Quran, a whole chapter is dedicated to the bee, called An-Nahl.
We have a bee farm near to my home.
Translates to the bee, and it describes the bee's way of life and how Muslims should be more like them. The Quran says Allah inspired the bee, which indicates a level of intense divinity, as this word usually depicts God's communication with holy chosen people. This is what makes the bee stand out as an important creature. The Quran also describes aspects and miracles about the bees.
Talking about the importance of the bees, there was a movement called Save the Bees. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about it, but we have an issue in our modern day and age that there are in some countries less and less bees, also because of global warming and the pollution of everything. Even some waters are not clean anymore, and even the bees, they need to fly somewhere at a place where there's water, they need to drink and stuff. There are also farmers that are spraying a lot of chemicals to protect their crops from parasites and stuff, but that spray that they're using for the protection of the crops, it also harms the bees. So yeah, there was a movement to save bees, and people are even like fundraising already money to protect bees, to make separate bee farms and stuff. We even have a bee farm near to my home. It's just like 5 minutes from here maybe. And yeah, bees are very important because when they go to flowers and they get the pollen from the flowers, they will fly to another one, and that way the plants can spread. Same with like apple trees, for example. Did you guys know that when it comes to like fruits and like apple trees and stuff, that the trees, they need the pollen of one tree to go to another for the fruit to be even able to grow? So some farmers are very concerned, especially those that are growing fruits, if there are no bees, because the bees, they help to pollinate the other flowers so they can actually have fruit on the trees, right? So they're very important. The bees may be the most important insect that exists.
The Quran also describes aspects and miracles about the bees that were confirmed by scientists centuries later. Specifically, the numbers 16, 68, 69. Bees are specifically made up of either 16 pairs of chromosomes, in the case of the queen bee, or 16 single chromosomes, in the case of drones. The chapter of the bee is the 16th of the Quran.
Wow! Allahu Akbar.
And your Lord revealed to the bees.
What a coincidence. It's not a coincidence.
Among the mountains, houses, and among the trees in that which they construct. Then eat from all the fruits and follow the ways of your Lord laid down for you. There emerges from their bellies a drink, varying in colors, in which there is healing for people. Indeed, that is a sign for people who give thought. In the first...
That's actually true, because honey has healing properties. Did you guys know that if some people, like, there are some therapies even against burns? So if people have a burn, it depends also on the degree of burn, but let's say you have a second or degree burn, even third degree burn. Like, apparently if you apply honey to the burn where you burnt yourself, can happen in your kitchen even by accident. You touch the pan with your arm, with the skin, or the oven when you pull something out. If you actually apply honey there, it actually helps. Like, scientists have figured out it helps with the healing of burns and stuff. So yeah, there's definitely healing, and this is something that people could not have really known. They could have just guessed back in the day, like 1,400 plus years ago. This is a miracle too, the healing properties of honey that was discovered later. I actually read a whole article about it, and it also helps you if you have a sore throat, right? So if you have like a cold and your throat is a bit injured from all that coughing and it's sore, if you have some honey and you consume it, it will help you with your throat and the healing there too.
Who give thought. In the first part of the verse, Allah commands the bee to choose a place as its home. This phenomenon is actually observed in nature today.
Yeah.
The female bees, both the queen and workers, are the heart of the hive.
Especially the queen.
They are responsible for finding and building the hive. The second part of the verse talks about the process of making honey and its benefits.
Yeah.
The bee collects the nectar and pollen from different flowers and create the honey in its body. They then regurgitate the honey into the wax cells they make.
Yeah, they fill them
There are
in.
different types of food that come from honey, and it comes in a variety of colors.
Yes.
This bee food can range from regular light brown honey to a deeper dark color to a very light white hue. In reality, our hive is our home.
For those of you that want to know like why the honey has a different color and stuff, it totally depends on what they are collecting. For example, here in Germany, we have the forest honey, and the forest honey is more dark because the bees, they actually collect the liquid of aphids that are on pine trees, those insects that suck out the liquid, the juices from the tree, right? And when the bee goes to those aphids, they actually they release a bit of it, what they suck in, right? So the bees will lick this up, have it in their stomach, and bring this home. So this liquid is a bit darker, so the honey is a bit darker. If you are going to a place where there isn't a forest nearby and there are mostly like grass fields and parks and gardens, and you get honey from there, the honey is very light, because the honey that bees produce from only the pollen of the flowers here, it will become light. So it depends on what source of plant they also have and what kind of flowers, right? I've heard, for example, if you go to certain a bit warmer region countries, the honey is not like super light, but also not very dark, like kind of like in the middle or something. Or you have those that live near to the forest and they collect a bit from aphids from the forest, some honey, right? But also from flowers, so it mixes and it's in between. It depends on the habitat, I guess.
Color to a very light white hue. In reality, our hive is our home, and our colony is our family. No matter what your role is in the house, each member has a valuable contribution.
That's true.
To ensure the success of everyday endeavors. In Islam, the ultimate goal of a typical Muslim family is to achieve Allah's promise of eternal paradise. If every member of the family acts accordingly to his or her role, you can reach anything your heart desires.
Yeah.
When talking about
Teamwork.
medical benefits, honey is known to be a natural healing supplement. This has been documented in various scriptures dating back centuries ago. Many cultures use honey to treat internal and external ailments, such as ulcers, wounds, and other diseases as well.
Yeah. Burns
Lessons
too.
that Muslims can learn from honeybees. Bees teach us how to thrive by obeying one God, Allah. In the verse, indeed in that is a sign for a people who give thought, Allah speaks directly to the bees. His command for them to build their homes and make their honey was followed, and mankind is able to reap the benefits of the sweet healing honey. Allah is said to have conveniently placed honeybees on earth to be of service to us.
They are.
Such simple creatures, yet quite obedient. This is how Allah wanted His followers to be. Another way to see this is how bees pledge their loyalty to their queen. Once they're a part of a certain hive and colony, they dedicate their lives to improving the colony itself. Drone bees go as far as to willingly sacrifice their lives for the benefit of the colony.
Yeah.
An
Because after
obedient
mating,
Muslim
it's over.
must be able to follow the foundation set forth by Allah and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to achieve eternity in paradise. By following Allah's word and doing good, we are promised eternal life with Him. There is thus a clear argument in this that the exactitude in skill and ingenuity is not due to the bee, but due to the omnipotence of Him who has created it on such pattern and appointed it to the service of mankind.
Yeah.
Bees teach us how to be pure. Bees only collect the nectar of fresh flowers
Yes.
that have not been touched by other bees, depicting honesty and loyalty.
That's true.
This also makes the nectar they get purer, since it's from an untouched source. This purity is guaranteed by Allah Himself.
And you know what that also protects? It protects diversity in a way, you could say, right? So let's say there's 3 trees in a park, okay? We have a cherry tree, we have an apple tree, and we have a tree with pears, okay? So if the bees only go to the tree with the pears over and over again, and the bees always go to the old flower, you will have a lot of fruit on that tree with the pears, right? But you will have a lack of cherries, and you will have a lack of apples, because the flowers, they were barely pollinated, because they would always share the same flowers there, right? So there's no diversity. And it is better that each bee goes to each individual flower and not again to the same flower, because then every flower gets its bee, basically, its match, you could say, right? But if all go to just a few flowers, like some flowers are just left out like that, that's also not good, right? And yeah, like there's definitely some deeper understanding and logic behind the bee. And this is also a miracle by itself when you think about like here you can see, for those of you that are atheists right now that are watching this, here you can see there must be a creator behind everything. Like why does a bee go to a new flower instead of the old flower? Like, how does the bee know this? Like, this cannot happen by random chance. Like some people that believe in the evolution theory and they believe there's no God, no higher power. Explain me how by random chance a bee goes just to one flower one time and then the next time to another flower. Like, how does this bee even memorize or know this all, right? There are like hundreds of thousands of flowers there. Like every tree could look a bit similar, right? So how does the bee know and stuff? Like, this is a miracle itself, that the bee can find a new flower even and stuff, and does not go by memory back to the old one, and can even tell by memory actually apart which one is which one and stuff. Like, this is something that is very, 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 like, breathtaking.
And it is a Muslim's duty to be loyal and honest as well.
Yes.
We observe how easy it is for younger Muslims to let go of their purity sometimes, especially among the younger generations, and commit haram, since it is much easier to live this way.
But it will give you heartbreak
often. They
often.
want to get accepted in certain communities. This is not the way of Allah. It is through halal means that they are able to keep the sources of our blessings, as well as themselves, pure in their eyes. To cite an example, let's say a Muslim person owns a restaurant. Even though they know serving alcohol is haram, they still do it because it brings them more profit to their business or in gaining more customers. If you follow the halal teachings of Allah, you would know that there is no greater reward than the promise of paradise. It can never be replaced with any form of riches you may receive in the mortal world. As humans, we are quite flawed, and we will find ways to make excuses. It is best to keep in mind that excuses will get you nowhere. And there is no blessing from haram that no amount of prayer can make up for it unless you're willing to change.
Yeah.
If you take the bees as an example, they never collect nectar belonging to other bees, even though it's easier for them, and the
Maybe
reward
it's nearer.
that it's pure and their colony remains strong.
Yeah.
Bees teach us to stay strong as a community.
Yeah, like I'll give you an example. So there's a beehive in a park, and there's a neighboring tree, right? But the neighboring tree, there are already like a lot of bees from another nest, right? And all the flowers are already used up, and bees already entered those, right? So what would be logical for someone that wants an easy way? You go from the bee hive to the nearest tree, but the nearest tree is already full of other bees, right? So instead of going there, the bee will go to a tree that's a few miles further. And now the bee has to fly longer, and this takes more effort, right? But it's purer. Like you see this, so they struggle to get something that's pure and that is just theirs, and they don't share it with another hive or something. This is actually very, very brilliant, very smart by bees.
Most bee species live in colonies, and they would need the participation of each and every member to stay alive and to be a well-functioning, strong hive. Female worker bees take the time every day to go out of the hive and find food. By the time they get back to the hive, Instead of placing the collected nectar in the individual cell themselves, they choose to pass the nectar by regurgitating it to their co-worker. This process goes on until the nectar turns into honey and reaches the cell of the honeycomb. They then fan it with their wings until it becomes stickier. By the time it is ready, they seal the cell with a wax lid to keep it clean.
They're like an air conditioner,
The bee colony
a walking air
always works
conditioner.
as a team, and each member is given a role. Another example of how bees work together as a team is during winter time. In order for the hive to stay warm,
They cuddle.
they start clumping together
Yeah.
and constantly moving in
Vibrating.
order to create heat. This heat keeps the queen warm, which keeps the hive livable during the harsh weather.
Allahu Akbar.
Allah taught bees how to dance in order to show fellow bees the location of the flowers
Wow.
in order for them to follow them. A single beehive can have thousands of bees, all working together to provide food, shelter, and protection to their queen and the rest of the colony. They travel over 50,000 miles and visit
sometimes.
thousands of flowers just to make a jar of honey. In retrospect, a honeybee can't exist on
Without
its own at all,
flowers, yeah.
just like people. They would need to be with other bees and follow their roles in order to thrive. Just like us Muslims, we need to be able to take responsibility and work well with other people in our community to live in harmony, make our community stronger, and have a positive impact on the society we live. People nowadays are constantly in pursuit of wealth, which can make them very selfish sometimes.
That's true.
We see this every day. How large companies exploit lowly employees. How siblings enter rivalry with one another over inheritance. And how politicians...
That's actually the worst with inheritance. I know several families, I've heard stories about them, even like in my neighborhood this happens, where our uncle passes away, for example, and then everyone's like arguing who gets the money from this uncle and stuff. And then sometimes like a brother and sister will no longer speak with each other. Sometimes like brothers, they just go different ways and stuff, just because of this. Like, or imagine like someone's dad passes away, right? This is a family of 3 kids, for example. And the father that passed away always wanted his family to be close to one another and actually have harmony at home, right? And now they're actually not following their father's last wishes and will, but they are fighting against each other over who gets more money. And this is not what the father wanted that just passed away, right? So they're actually like putting shame on the father, making the father, if he was still around, feel very angry and disappointed with them and stuff. And if like children love their father or their relative that passes away, this is something, a tip I give you guys now. If you're ever in a situation where you feel upset with your sibling or relative of yours over inheritance, think about the people that just passed away. How would that person feel if they were with you in the room seeing you argue with your siblings or relatives over this? Will this person be happy with you? Is this the last will, the last wish of this person that passed away? You're actually breaking this person's heart if that person was around and see this. If they could come back for a moment, they would actually make it that nobody gets a single cent of inheritance. If they could, if this was in their power, because of you arguing over it. May Allah forgive us for sometimes not being just to our relatives. I mean, but seriously, this is something very, very serious when it comes to inheritance. Like families are going separate ways because of that. They split. And they're not doing what the person that passed away would have wanted and wished for.
one another over inheritance, and how politicians are consumed by greed. Bees live in a symbolic relationship with plants
They're
too.
also sacrificial, like they...
Even though they take nectar from there,
You know, it's also like sweet about bees, and I'm not talking about the honey. The honey, of course, is sweet, but what's like really sweet about bees is also how they are so selfless, and they will actually sacrifice their lives to protect the queen and stuff, right? So if there's like a danger coming into the hive, the worker bee will go to the entrance and shield even the entrance with the body from threats. So it is a very selfless being, and imagine all in the society would function like this. Same with ants. I think we would be a better society.
there, they pollinate the plants in return. This allows the plant species to thrive. Muslims must always resist these actions and refrain from being selfish, influenced by negative ideals,
Yeah.
and learn to share their blessings, look out for each other, and be helpful to fellow believers when needed. This doesn't specifically mean to be completely selfish, but it is essential to treat everyone around you with kindness
Yeah.
and be considerate of others in whatever you do. It doesn't take much to just be a good person.
True.
After all, as Muslims, we must always behave as role models to other people.
Yeah, to bring them closer to
Conclusion.
Islam too.
Bees are one of the most magnificent creatures created by Allah ever to grace our earth, and that we Muslims can learn a
MashaAllah.
lot from them. As simple as the bee may look, they have a great system and structure that have a great influence put on them by Allah. The goal for us Muslims is to reach the promised paradise, and by following the way of the bee, we will be able to attain this goal.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that was a very, very good video. And yeah, I've come across this miracle in the Quran before, some years ago, with a bee. And I find it like so fascinating how also it is like pointed out that there's like healing property, like that you can heal people with honey. And this is actually true because scientists are discovering it more and more, and it's actually proven to be true. And back in the day, a lot of medicine was based on guesses, right? Like some doctors back in the day, 1,000+ years ago, they would do practices and they were not sure sometimes if this was really beneficial. They just assumed it based on some perhaps more positive results, but they were not sure. And the positive results, they could have come from another source, right? But to directly state, hey, there's a healing property in honey, and it was actually proven to be true now by modern science, that is a miracle. Same with also that the bee is actually named a female bee. The worker bee in the Quran is described as female with the Arabic word for like the female version of this, right? And later on, we discovered that the worker bee is actually female, right? So this is also a miracle and something I've read, how the worker bee is described as female, and now with a microscope you can check and you can see, oh, that's indeed a female bee. Because like ant workers and bee workers, they're all female, just their reproductive organs are not as developed as of the queen, right? I think they don't have this one sac that can save the sperm of the drones, right? So this is why it's not like that, right? They can't reproduce because I think they're missing the sac and they cannot produce so many eggs, right? But yeah, they are female. This is also mentioned in the Quran, right? Because it's the female word that's being used for the worker bee. And like bees are so complex, and they are showing people that there must be a creator behind our complex life and system. Like, how does a bee, this is something as a kid I asked myself all the time, how does a bee that lives in a hive on a tree find 3 blocks from the nest, 3 blocks further, a apple tree with flowers? Like, how does this how does the bee find this tree that's 3 blocks further? Like, this is a miracle itself, the coordination, the sense of navigation. This is something, whoa, like how does the bee know, right? There must be a creator behind this. But yes, it's a very, very good video. And we need to be more careful with our environment. We need to protect the bees. The bees are very important because, like I said at the beginning of this video, if we want to eat delicious fruits, we need the bees to pollinate also the flowers so they can actually bring forth the fruits. And certain plants, they will die out because they cannot create seeds, because you need fruits also for like the apple tree, for example, to even make the seeds, right? Because the seeds are inside the fruits. Same with strawberries. Strawberries also have seeds. And strawberries are also being visited by bees often. So yeah, there's like a lot of importance in the bees. They need to be protected. And yeah, if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. If you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. And I will see you guys next time, inshallah.